I think Elon, by supporting Trump, had his Michael Jordan moment. Elon is very good at being a billionaire who has all the money he could throw at something, but acting as if it's their last cent and they're about to go bankrupt.
He showed me this video clip of a guy joking around with this avatar that's basically AI, and I was like, what the fuck did I just watch? He said, bro, in 2-3 years, this thing is going to take over the world. I tried some trading many years ago and it absolutely sucked. We have to be super disciplined, and like most people just aren't.
That person who's really disciplined about not going to get that pizza, it's not like they just woke up and all of a sudden they're just that disciplined. They failed many times. They've gone and gotten a slice of pizza.
I've gotten to a point where I just accept that anything can happen in the market short term, and I'm never going to try and play that. If you're betting against Bitcoin, you're an idiot. At this point, it's just silly. The only thing that matters, the only thing that's going to determine whether Tesla makes another quantum leap from here, whether Tesla has another S-curve in it. By the way, I think the answer is yes.
All right, so today we got Tom Nash on. Tom kindly agreed to come on. He reached out to me, gave me some kudos, and I asked him if he'd jump on. So if you guys know Tom Nash, I don't really think he needs much of an introduction, but I do want to get to know Tom. And so before we do that, grab your drinks, grab your coffee, depending on what time this goes out. Sit back, relax, don't hit nothing, don't like nothing, don't smash nothing.
Good enough.
Tom,
good
morning.
Good morning, bro. It's don't smash nothing, don't buy nothing, don't click nothing. I think it was I don't remember.
You don't remember, man? It's
don't
iconic.
Smash nothing. Wait. Don't click nothing, don't smash nothing, don't buy nothing. That's the right order. By the way, I always get shit because it's bad English.
Oh, that's why I love it. That's why it's catchy.
Don't buy anything. But I'm always keep explaining to people. It's like, think if Arnold would have said, "I will be back" in Terminator, bro.
Yeah, exactly.
It would have been like a complete. The whole movie would have been ruined, bro. The whole point is supposed to be broken English, bro.
The whole messiness of it and the backwards of it is what makes it's like Graham. All right, Graham says, "Hey guys, it's Graham," or
"Hey Graham,
it's guys." Yeah, it's like it's become iconic. So nah, I love it, man.
I love his work, by the way. I like him a lot.
He's a stud. You know, sometimes he sits there and talks about like giving up the content creation. I'm like, dude, why? Like you're killing it. You seem to enjoy it.
I like
talking about the things. Yeah, the iced coffee hour has gotten really good. That's.
By the way, did you see the one where they had RJ Might on?
I haven't seen that one.
The kid from Breaking Bad, Walt Jr.
Yeah, I haven't seen it. I've seen some of the clips from it, but I haven't seen it.
It was good. It was good.
Yeah, they're getting some good guests on there. But Tom, so for people who don't know you, if there's anyone out there who doesn't know Tom Nash, who's Tom? Like, what's your background, man? Like, I know you're a Deloitte guy, Michigan guy, Russian background, I believe. Don't want to butcher that. So
that is true.
But how'd you end up here in the States? Were you born here? Your accent doesn't sound like it.
No,
like, what's
I was not born here. Funny enough, I now have an accent in every language. I don't have an accentless language anymore. Think about it, right? Because my English
Russians,
it's like heavily accented. My Russian isn't good enough, so like I sound like this in Russian when I speak to actual Russians. So I have no languages left where I sound like a normal person, bro. It's like, imagine not having one language where you just sound fucking fluent and normal.
Dude, I actually understand, maybe not to your extent, but I kind of know what you mean. So English is my second language. I'm Spanish. But when I talk to people, like my little brothers, they call me a gringo because when they hear me speak, they're like, "You don't know Spanish. You sound like a gringo." If I go up north,
actually,
my wife's
from Spain.
Yeah.
Where from in Spain?
Oviedo.
I will pretend like I know where it is.
Okay. All right. How well do you know Spain?
I know where Barcelona, Madrid is. I know Bilbao. I know.
Okay, so north,
Villarreal,
west. Okay, so Galicia, that area.
I know what it is. Yeah,
Asturias. Yeah. So the Celtic region, the blue-eye, blonde-hair region of Spain.
So what age did you come to the US?
So I was born in Chile, in South America. Mm-hmm. My mom was born in Spain, and then her family moved to Chile to start up a whole movie theater business. And so I learned Spanish through my mom. My mom's a interpreter, so she is very proper Spanish, very cleaner than even Spain. Like in Spain, they'll say like "thumo," and they like and that comes from the old king.
The Spanish, I know. The Spanish has this Because in
Do you
the
know
South
why?
American Spanish, the king had it, right? And they had to
Yeah, the king had it.
make
Yep,
the
and
king
they
feel okay. Yeah.
Yep,
I heard this story because
exactly.
I
Yeah,
asked some South American dude when I was in South America. It's like, bro, your Spanish is so different, and they explained that story to me.
yeah, yeah. You
So
can
how
tell a
did you
difference.
English
Like,
that so good, bro? Your English is flawless. I wish I had yours.
you say that, but my wife's from Boston. When we go up there, people think I sound Southern. When I'm down here, I live in Florida. When I'm here, people think that I sound like a Yankee. And to Spanish people, I'm like, all right, well, probably not to
Hey,
your extent, but I understand the sentiment. But no, my English is good, I guess, just because I live in the
how
States.
old were you when you moved?
5,
Oh yeah, that's
so
of
pretty young.
course. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I
That's
learned
young
English
enough
through my
where it's
sister.
okay. Cool.
Yeah,
Hey,
because
I
she would
always
go to a
envy.
Spanish English school, and she would come home starting to speak English slowly, and
Oh,
that's how I would just start to learn it.
that's fascinating. So I envy people like you who have managed to perfect a language, like a second language like that. I've never had the ability to drop the accent. As much as I tried, at some point I just decided I give up, and I'm gonna go full
Yeah.
tilt on my accent. Like instead of trying to hide it, I'm just gonna double down on that. At some point, I'll tell you a story. Okay, so I was with my friend. So it sounds like a made up name. You remember Aladdin, where he would make up names from the door? What's your name?
Yeah.
Max. Max what? Max occupancy, 1,000 people. So it sounds like a made up name, but it's not. Like my friend Dima and I were with another friend, his name is Vadim, and we were traveling through Central America, right, for a whole month. We started in Costa Rica, we did Belize, we did Mexico. It was amazing. The chunk of the trip, the biggest obviously was Mexico, because Mexico is massive, bro, massive. And we started off obviously.
So you're actually traveling. You're not resort hopping.
No,
You're
no, no, no,
traveling.
no. We went to Cancun for a day. We both, like me and Vadim and Dima, said that, bro, this ain't it, bro.
Yeah, I hate
was
that.
just, and
That's
then
not
we went
my
down
style.
to Tulum. Was a lot of fun. It was already kind of less touristy, and we did like the less touristy part. Then we did the whole. We started going south and across, and it was beautiful. Like, but here's the thing. Me and my friend Vadim, we have a tendency to be good with languages, so we pick up Spanish pretty quick because it's not a hard language to pick up conversationally, right? It's kind of
Okay.
easy.
Ahora vamos a hablar en español, entonces.
Okay, I don't know how to speak it today, but like I'm telling
No,
you,
you're
I'm
good.
going to tell you a story very embarrassing. We find out simple things, how to say, like where can they find donde está abuelita con grande culo. Some bullshit like this, just to make fun, just to make conversation, make some jokes with some with some people on the street. So anyways, so we start finding out I'm hungry, where's the food, basic conversational Spanish. My friend Dima, the third guy, he doesn't get it, bro. Like he just would not, like, even the simplest shit, he couldn't get it. So at some point he goes, look, I give up. I'm just gonna stop trying to learn this. And on that specific day, we get into a taxi and we get to the airport. We got to take a flight. And the guy doesn't have change. And in Russian, at cabbie, I don't know if back in those days, I'm old, bro, only taxi, right? So a cabbie in Russian is taxist, from the word taxi. So taxist is a cabbie, right? So the guy doesn't have change. Who cares? It's not a big deal. So we say, okay, whatever, bro. And my third friend, he gets annoyed. And he looks at me and he, like, almost involuntarily says, in Russian, he starts in Russian, it's like, что за хуйня? It's like, what the fuck? Taxist без cambio. And then he says cambio, like, as if it was Russian. So he, instead of saying the Russian word, he said cambio is in change.
Change.
Yeah, change. And then we realized he just said the Spanish word without noticing. It got ingrained even to him, bro. So like, taxist без cambio.
It's so funny that we're talking about this. Last night, I was talking to my wife. We have a newborn son. He's about a month and a half now. And I'm sitting there just like looking at him and thinking, like, it's insane. He doesn't have to understand what language is, what words are, or anything. But somehow he's going to just learn how to communicate and put conscious thoughts together through these sounds and like, it's just insane when you just sit there and really think about the idea of speaking, going from nothing to speaking in such a short time, literally such a short time. It's
insane, right?
It's breaking my mind the more I think about it. Like, that's a very hard thing to do.
And it's crazy how you lose that, though. When you get older,
it is.
It's like at some point, like after like age, 10, 11, you start losing that ability to pick up languages.
Yeah, your brain plasticity like just starts
to insane. Right?
I mean, we get dumber as we get older, right? I don't actually. Maybe it's more that as kids we're more patient and we don't get frustrated as easy. I find like the biggest thing I've seen as I've gotten older is that people think that that learning is supposed to be easy, and it's like the second you realize like learning is a hard thing, then you'll learn more things because you don't expect like the second you don't get it, you don't give up.
Yeah, of course.
It's like anything, like learning is hard. Going to the gym, you're going to feel weak to get stronger. Like in life, you succeed only after you failed a bunch. Like these like contradictions are the way you get to the thing you're trying to get to. And people give up once it's like, oh, it's hard, or I didn't get it, or it's difficult. It's
a painful experience to fail.
It is. Yeah.
There's no learning without failing, but that feeling is horrible.
But as a kid, they don't know failure. They don't know humiliation yet. Like you learn that. Yeah, you learn that as you get old. You don't know fear, right? Kids are like climbing up on trees. Like, what's fear? Yeah. Like, I haven't gotten that part yet. I haven't been poisoned yet by society to be scared or embarrassed.
So this
or any
is your
of these
first
things.
Kid?
Yeah, first one.
Okay. So wait, they get older and they become brazen and they start telling you things like, "You're ruining my childhood." It's like they start saying nasty
dude, I can't wait.
Bro.
I'm just as much of a smart ass. I'm like, I'll get right back to you, brother. Like, let's go. I'm excited for that part.
So my oldest is 12, and I can see the like, you know what I mean? Like in the sci-fi movies when you see this intelligent life form evolving and taking over. You can see the development every day. It gets more sarcastic and more brazen. It's like, oh my God, what I have to look forward to, bro. By age 15 or 16. That scares me.
We're seeing that now, right? We're seeing that now with all this AI stuff.
Yeah.
We're seeing, I mean, I imagine you have a Tesla or have had a Tesla and use FSD, like to see where it was 3 years ago to now, it's like, wow, it's mind bending.
So I'm 44 years old. Okay. So I used to drive vehicles where, you'd have cassette players in the car, bro. Cassette players, not CD players. You understand what I'm saying?
Dude, I had that. Players. I remember that. Yeah. We had an old Mercedes. Yeah.
And then going from that to, sitting in the vehicle for 40 minutes, not having to touch the steering wheel in 20 years, it's insane. Maybe not as insane as Robert Zemeckis' vision of, I don't know if you're a Back to the Future fan or not.
Yeah.
It's my favorite movie of all time, right? So, I mean, if Robert Zemeckis' 2015 vision, we failed to achieve flying cars and all that stuff, right? But on the realistic scale, I think it's pretty insane what we have achieved as humanity. And I think that going back to the world of investing, right? The guy who made it happen is probably one of the most polarizing characters somehow.
Yeah.
Because he's not normal. They want him to be extraordinary and innovative and visionary and outside the box. But when he does that in other things, like having 57 wives and 44 kids and being really bad with relationships and saying stupid shit sometimes, they don't accept that. You can't separate one from the other, bro.
I don't think he's polarizing anymore to people. Like, I think we've kind of, like all this political correctness has gone by the wayside. Like, people, I don't know, like it's why streaming and things on YouTube and Netflix, like you don't have to worry about, on TV, right? On CNBC, they're not gonna be able to drop F-bombs or whatever. But on Netflix, like, dude, it's all goes. Like we're over these things. We'll show some tits and ass.
Of course.
Yeah, I think, well, I'm just saying, like, I think we've gotten to a point where like any polarizing of Elon, for example, or even someone like Alex Karp, I think it's just manufactured. at this point. I think it's manufactured by people who are trying to create a reaction. Like, why do people not like Elon all of a sudden? Because he donated to Trump. All right, like Trump is, for all intents and purpose speaking, he's a Democrat of 2008. Like,
Yeah, but what he did with politics is the most. Look, when he makes irrational decisions, we applaud him. When Elon got a couple $100 million off of PayPal, instead of sailing into the sunset, which he could have easily done, he burned it all on the rocket company. Then you say, "Oh my God, this guy is like it's incredible, right?" And then when he does. When he alienates 50% of his customers, he goes into bed with Trump, and then he alienates the other 50%. We say, "What are you doing, bro? It doesn't make any sense." It's like he's not gonna be rational or logical. He's just gonna do crazy shit sometimes. Yeah. And I think that people really have a tough time investing in uncertainty.
But do you think he's the person being irrational, logical, or is it the individual making a decision on what car they buy, the safety wise, all that, based on this person voted for Republican for the first time ever in his life, and now that's it, he's a bad person?
Look,
like,
you remember the famous
all of a
Michael
sudden,
Jordan quote?
all my principles about electric vehicles and all that's out the window because he checked a box on a sheet.
Yeah.
Who's the real
that's how it
rational
is,
one?
bro. That's how it is. It's like, it is what it is. You're talking about moral as like what people should behave like and what people should think like, but like that's not how it is. People like, remember when Michael Jordan had the famous quote why he doesn't go political?
Yeah, he says both Republicans and Democrats both buy shoes. Yeah,
exactly, bro. And like people are not going to make that distinction. It's not going to happen.
I actually think, I don't think this is what he was thinking. But I think Elon, by supporting Trump, had his Michael Jordan moment. Because what was ever going to get the ultra-conservative people to even think about buying an electric vehicle?
Yeah.
And here you have the most popular Republican president who has transformed that party out from the old geriatric party it was into this new modern party that's going on podcasts out there on the front lawn telling people to go buy Teslas. Like, he was able to now get the other side to also think about EVs. So now both sides, you already captured. I mean, all these people who have Teslas were putting stickers on, like, please don't vandalize my car. Don't vandalize my car.
First of all, when your car is vandalized, to me, it's offensive. Like, I feel like personally violated. You know what I mean? When people like scratch your shit, it just feels horrible. It's just like, it's almost an extension of yourself. You know what I mean? It's like a hateful act. I've never tolerated that, and I think it's stupid. But here's the thing, right? I have a huge position in Tesla. I don't know what your portfolio looks like as far as Tesla, but from the sounds of it, you seem to be a fan as well. My whole thing about Tesla and Elon Musk is that all of this political theater, PR stuff, all this stuff, it's irrelevant. None of this matters. The success or lack thereof of Tesla will not be determined by his relationship with Donald Trump or the Republican Party or the radical left. None of this matters. The only thing that matters, the only thing that's going to determine whether Tesla makes another quantum leap from here, whether Tesla has another S-curve in it, and by the way, I think the answer is yes, yeah? But the only determining factor would be, can Tesla create a lead in humanoid robotics? Can Tesla establish mass production of these so-called humanoid robotics? Can it expand and scale the energy business? Can it be and remain the leader in full self-driving technology and deploy it on a large scale, overcoming any regulatory issues as far as OEM deals? Can it kind of monopolize the FSD market? Like, these are the questions that I'm asking myself, because think about it. If you answer all these questions no, and Elon is now the most favorite person on earth, and he's like being endorsed by both political parties, the company is still worth zero or close to that. So my whole point is, and that's kind of always led me, is like I ignore all this noise and hoopla. None of this matters.
Yeah.
If a company executes over the long haul, the price will adjust and reflect that. Maybe not immediately.
So let's zoom in, right? Because something that so just to answer your question, so I've pretty much for the better part of the last 5-6 years been kind of all in Tesla investor. I'm not necessarily just a buy and hold investor, but essentially an all in Tesla investor.
That's okay then. So you trade and also you have a long-term portfolio.
I do. Yeah. I try to be as capital efficient as I can. So
you just
I'm muting
accidentally do that.
myself. Yeah. I trade option, not just in Tesla, just in general. I trade options around my portfolio. I leverage the wrong word to use, but I utilize the capital at hand to be able to do trades across. I also obviously do cover calls, cash secure puts, all that. But just going back to Tesla real quick.
Remind me to ask you a question about that later.
Sure.
I'm fascinated by one point, but continue.
Yeah. So something I don't like that the Tesla community does, and I'm just as guilty of it, is thinking about optimists and necessarily making financial or everyone says that they invest for the long term, right? And I think in Tesla's example, we've gotten guilty of like if in 2020, if you would have told us that the stock is at $430, $425 right now, at going into the end of 2025, people would be like, BS, not a good investment if that's the case. If you're telling me that's the case, I'll put my money somewhere else, right? Yeah. So to sit there and like have these hopiums for like optimists and all that, like I do think that's going to happen, but let's just be real. If in 2 years from now, we're still at 425 or not higher, people are just not going to be happy about it. You can say you are, but you're not going to feel good about that investment when you see PLTR's running up, NVIDIA's running up, Meta's running up, Apple's running up. You're going to feel like, did I make a bad decision? So my question to you is like, and I think we made that mistake with the FSD. I think we thought FSD was going to be here a lot sooner than what it was.
Yeah.
Now I think it's a little different. So I think in the next, call it year and a half, I think that vision, that hope that people had over the last 5 years, I think will start to come to fruition. But I'm curious what you think. Like what's Tom's, not necessarily to pigeonhole you to a short-term prediction or opinion, but just like where do you see the company going from, say, end of 2025 to end of 2026? Because it seems like it's a convergence of things actually finally happening, coming to fruition. Or do you see it differently?
Yeah, there's a lot of layers in this question, and I hope not to miss any of them. So
you better not.
Number one, when we're done with this, I want to ask you, because I only do long term, right? I'm fascinated by people who are able to make that separation and how you manage these two different personalities you have. It's fascinating to me, but we'll talk about it later. Now, you said something that I think is very true, Nick. Investing horizons. There's a saying, right? Investing horizons expand to infinity in bull markets and contract to today in the bear market, right? So it's very easy when everything is going up to be bullish and to say that you're investing for the long haul. It's very easy to be brave and to take on risk and to be optimist, and all of this sounds great when everything is green. And if you think about it, we haven't seen anything but a V-shaped recovery in the stock market for the past 15 years. So unless you've been investing for more than 15 years, all you've seen is the market always bounces back super quick, right? Even 2020 was a super quick V-shape. Even 2022 was a little bit slightly slower, but still a V-shaped 10-month bounce, right? So with these, go ahead.
The only period I would say is, from the .com bust to like 2010.
Last 15 years.
Okay, fair. Okay, yeah.
That's why specifically why I said that, because the last time we had a U-shaped recovery was the last decade.
Oh, that's crazy. I think 2010 was already 15 years ago. That's insane. Yeah. Oh, times go by fast.
So the only time, exactly. So look, unless you're like a super seasoned investor, you've only seen bounce backs.
Yeah.
And it's very easy thinking that this is the only way things can play out, to be very bullish and to be very long term. And I do agree with you. A lot of, that when the tide comes out, we're going to find out who's been swimming naked. We're going to find out, who's for real and who's not.
And there's a
We're gonna
lot.
find
We're
out.
record margin debt, so there's a lot.
Yeah, we're gonna find out. But here's the thing with Tesla, though. A few things. Number one, I think that, and this has been kind of no longer surprising to me. I think that Tesla retail investing community has proved to be way more resilient than people gave it credit. They went through a lot of crap before I started covering the stock. They went through a lot of crap after I started covering the stock, after I became an investor. And what I've seen from this community is just resilience, data-driven, high-quality analysis that basically kicked the institutional investors' butt since 2020.
Agree with all that.
So I don't think they are easily scared. Okay? I think there's a lot of smart people in that community, and it has kind of forged itself to be very tough. So I wouldn't classify them as a classic kind of pump your chest in good times and then run away when things get hairy. So I think that they're probably one of the strongest communities out there. My only thing, why I wouldn't put Palantir ahead of them is because Palantir wasn't tested like that yet, right? So all this new Palantir investor community right now was forged post 2022. So they came in 2023. So we haven't seen Palantir go through it, but Tesla went through a couple of really bad times. And the long-term mindset of the retail investing community of Tesla was always there, and it's impressive. So I don't think that in the case of Tesla, a lot of it is for real. A lot of these people are for real. A lot of smart voices like SMR, like Dave Lee, Warren, my friend. There's a lot of great people who cover the stock. Now, as far as what you said that in the second half of your question, I think I differ from you in one aspect. And I think that, and this is where, like, my friend Warren is more on your side. He's like, yo, I think FSD and robotaxi and the EV side of things is where Tesla is going to make its next S curve, and everything else is a bonus, right? Okay, I can agree to partially that, but I just think in terms of, I think robotics is the next big wave. I think that's the next, normal development of it's kind of, I hate to use this term, industrial revolution. It's been beaten to death, but I think it's the next industrial revolution, right? AI and robotics. So I think that the big money is there. But regardless of that, here's the thing. Tesla doesn't need to hit it out of the park in the next 12 months. Like you're saying, hey, what happens next year, 2 years? I don't think if Tesla stays sideways for the next year or two, it changes anything. Not for, fundamentally speaking, and not for the community, because the community have seen Tesla go sideways for years and stayed resilient. They never bailed out. I don't think it's enough time to really see the development of Tesla as far as robotics, as far as the energy business, as far as robotaxis, scaling, FSD. I don't think we see huge, massive, monumental developments in 2026. It's just, there's too much on his plate. So if you ask me, I don't expect Tesla to come out, with a home run kind of sequence of these great scalable deployments. I still think 2026 is the year where we still continue this phase out of less focus on EVs and more focus on the other stuff that they're trying to develop.
So you don't.
Again, but the only thing I would add here is that if you're asking me about the stock price, that's going to be mostly driven by the overall market.
Yeah.
So Tesla's stock price is just going to be, like it's always been, a derivative of the market. If the market remains bullish, then all this optimism, blue sky stories about the future, they're going to get priced into the stock price. If the market goes south, Tesla is going to be priced more realistically. So I think that the stock price of the next 12, 18 months is just going to be a direct derivative of how warm the water are in the stock market, if you know what I mean.
Okay. Yeah, no, that makes sense. But so you don't, so, I mean, I think for me, as FSD starts to grow and we start to see Tesla robotaxis out there on the market, the the part that for me, FSD gets better, more people start using it, robotaxis start going out there. The reason for me, from a stock perspective, why I think we're kind of at that moment of all these things kind of coming together, converging, is that it doesn't. Tesla can essentially displace every Uber in Austin, in Texas, in a week if they start building out the robotaxis. And even without robotaxis, if they just allow people to put their Tesla into a fleet, right, Airbnb style. And to me, the second Tesla can do, and I don't think it's going to be a flip of a switch. I think it's a slow grind rollout that will happen over the year. But as that happens, it's hard for me to believe that people aren't going to start to say, okay, we need to take money out of Uber. We need to take money out of Lyft. Waymo is just not going to be able to keep up with the pace that Tesla's going, and see people start dumping money into Tesla, because the math becomes very obvious as the math starts to get disclosed on earnings and whatnot. And that's where I think the big propelling goes. And I think as far as the huge S curve, I think that likely comes over 2027, 2028, 2029 when it comes to FSD, because I do think if it gets better and better, it's not going to be people like you and me and really any of the people in the Tesla community that are going to make the company so valuable because of the use of robotaxis. It's going to be the people who are struggling financially, who all of a sudden can say, fuck it, I'm not going to have a car note and car insurance and pay for gas and maintenance and any of that. I'm going to get my buying power back. I'm going to pay a few cents per mile. The night nurse who takes the bus because, well, she can't afford anything else, has to walk at night, while it's raining. Now she can just get this vehicle, pulls up to her front door. Like, I think that starts to displace car ownership potentially. And again, I don't think that happens this next year. Yes,
in major
exactly.
cities,
So that's where I think the S curve kind of really starts to pan out for FSD.
Yeah, if you think of by the way, you are you have the same identical approaches. I met Warren Ridlick when I was in Bangkok a couple months ago, and we spoke about this.
He hanging in there?
Bro, he's having fun.
I see
he's
that.
Getting married. He has a good life there. He's having he's building a business. He took me to a very interesting bar, but
I hope you didn't have too much fun.
No, we just had a beer. But he says that robotaxi might be the biggest S curve of them all because of the things you pointed out. So he says, look, it's
not bigger than humanoids.
He says that people misunderstand how big a robotaxi is going to get. Like that's his thing.
Yeah, I don't think nothing will be bigger than humanoids. There will never be anything bigger than humanoids, at least not that I can think of. There's always, another thing, right? We didn't even contemplate internet. We didn't contemplate iPhones applications, right? So you never know. I mean, what might be bigger than humanoids is the application layer that sits on top of humanoids, right? Like that might be the bigger thing.
I think what he was implying is that Tesla already has an established lead that is unsurmountable to competition in FSD.
I agree.
Where robotaxi is almost a question of when, not if.
It's over. To me, robotaxi and autonomy for Tesla is
when.
What Google was the search engine.
Yeah.
Apple on revenue when it comes to it's over. Like nobody is building the cars with the cameras to collect the data. Nobody's investing into the infrastructure like Elon is, and nobody has the talent, let alone figure out how to do it. Like it's game set match. The moat is unparalleled. Humanoids, I don't think the moat's unparalleled. I think that's almost like everyone's kind of on the same playing field. Maybe Tesla's a little lead because they have a lot of learning from
I think Tesla has a massive
autonomy.
advantage in humanoids that people don't understand. I agree with you, by the way, about FSD. They are so if it's a race, so it's a race. Hold on, FSD wise, it's a race. Tesla is leading and it's running the fastest. The gap is widening, and it's about to pass them in the whole lap in a second. So it's a question of when, not if. And people say, oh, regulation. In the history of mankind, infrastructure or regulation never stopped technological advancements from happening. I think it's ridiculous to even think about it.
Yeah, I mean, people going to New York or from New York going to Texas and nobody's driving and they go back and they're like living the past. That's not going to happen. Like
The only time in history where technological investments were rolled back, it happened because of economics. Talking about the Concorde. The only example I can give you. Yeah,
I thought you were going to
just
say
not
prohibition.
economic. Yeah, that as well. But that's not a technological investment. That's just a good time. But
I mean,
like the Concorde was a massive technological investment, but rolled back because it didn't make any sense financially. But you can't make that argument with robotaxis. I mean, it's like a fraction of the cost of owning a vehicle, or certainly of modern.
and it's saving lives.
Yeah.
Like it's
Yeah. That's just insane to even think about it. But as far as robotics, people like I agree that Tesla isn't the clear leader in human robotics as it stands today. There's a lot of competitors. I'm not going to name a lot of fakers out there. Some very high-profile fakers out there, but there's a lot of legitimate.
easy, Tom. Don't get any
I
lawsuits.
didn't say. Yeah, we don't want more. I'm not going to name, but it rhymes. No, I'm not going to. It's on the tip of my tongue. No, but there's a lot of serious heavy hitters that are gunning for that, and rightfully so. Russia, by the way, isn't one of them. I don't know if you saw what happened with the Russian humanoid.
I didn't.
It stumbled and fell off stage yesterday.
Oh, shut up.
You didn't see the clip?
I gotta look at that.
You didn't see the clip?
No, I haven't seen it.
Go to my Twitter, bro. I really posted yesterday. You haven't seen it?
No, I'm gonna go look now. I was just on your.
So Russia rolled out their version of the first humanoid robot. It was the stage was there, set, the lights, everything, and they let it walk out on stage. And what happened was absolutely the most Russian thing ever, bro. The robot it seemed drunk. You haven't seen it,
dude. All I see on your X feed. Oh, here it is. I was gonna say it's just all.
Pull it up.
Tom,
pull it up.
Tom
pull
Lee.
it up. You have to pull it up.
Yeah. Let me.
You have to show it. It's the most Russian thing that can happen, bro. Both on the failure of the presentation, but also on the way it failed, because it almost seems like the robot was drunk. Like I've never seen a humanoid robot stumble.
Let's see.
Yeah, that's the clip.
All right, let's go back to that.
Look at this. Look at this. We present to you the Putin 1000. Technological wonder. Second to none.
Look at the guy. Look at the guys. They're like, oh no, this is not good. Do you think they both went missing after this, or just one of them?
I don't know, bro. I have no comment about that. Anyways, yeah. So that's not one of the competitors of Tesla, right? But there's certainly a lot of great competitors.
That's fair.
Here's the thing, and this is my thesis, and why I'm super bullish on Tesla as far as humanoids are. Tesla, number one, has a massive IP and know-how in electric motors that most companies don't have. Tesla also have similar IP know-how and supply chains as it pertains to batteries. Tesla has
building batteries.
Exactly. Tesla has massive experience with vision sensors and whatnot, and software from the FSD world, which most companies don't have, and data. They also have almost a glitch. You know how you get a video game and you glitch the video game, so you have endless funds? So it's endless open checkbook, because Elon is not going to be, we have to spend rationally on this. You know, he's just going to basically go ham like he does on everything.
But it's just to add to that real quick. So I couldn't agree more. The EV business is dumping money in for FSD.
Yeah.
FSD will be what dumps money in for humanoids.
Yeah.
And to your point, one of the brilliance, I think, of
but also
Elon,
the HR. Nick.
Yeah.
Also, the actual humans that are developing, they have the best talent on top of everything else we just talked about.
But I think one of the things that's very misunderstood about Elon, and again, when I sit here and talk about, I think it's kind of a level playing field. I'm trying to play devil's advocate with myself constantly to like, you know, you want to steel man the other side as much as you can.
That's why nobody likes you.
See, I know, and the face. But
I'm just kidding. That's actually one of the most important traits of a good investor. What you're doing right now.
In the comments, it's probably shut the fuck up, Nick. Shut the fuck up, Nick. Anytime I steel man something, people are like, oh, "Shut up, man." But Elon is very good at being a billionaire who has all the money he could throw at something, but acting as if it's their last cents and they're about to go bankrupt.
Yeah.
And that is like you see right now in the private markets. Like I think OpenAI is going to have a big problem. I talked about this with Meet, but I think they're going to have a big problem that they are taking in. They're going to be where all these private companies were in 2022, where they're going to have to re-rate because they're not going to be able to get any more capital because their valuations gain ahead of their spending. They're spending so much and they're raising money, and it's not going to be proportional. They're going to have to try and go public to raise more capital. Like I just feel like there's a problem there. You're going to have an outpaced ability to valuation to what you're able to collect in spending money for R&D, and you're still not even, you're making revenue, sure, but you're not making profitable revenue, and it's just everything seems so off balance. But Elon is maniacally focused on no entropy, no wasted energy, no wasted dollars. Like we have a very singular focus, and which is not to go too much of a tangent, but none of these LLM companies have that singular focus for profitability.
Yep.
Tesla does. Humanoids, very clear. Autonomy, very clear. So they can dump money into all these GPUs and it's not waste because they know exactly what they're going for. It's so clear to a point where we can actually model it out. How do you model out OpenAI? $30 subscriptions a month? Like, all right. Sorry, go on.
Also, LLMs, as you were about to say, probably they're on the road to complete commoditization.
Yeah, it's been democratized. They're ubiquitous.
There's no longer like ChatGPT 5.1 isn't better than any free LLM I can, not but marginally better. That's the best I can say than like a free version of Grok.
No, 100%. I mean,
Grok might be better, bro.
Oh, I personally think Grok is better. I mean, I'm not going to compare the LLMs, but as far as integrating into my daily life, Grok is better. You know, especially like with X. Like anytime I see like something like, what the hell is this? I can just click on the top right and it explains to me like, oh, that's what's going on. That's the context behind this thing. You know, like just the integration of it, I think is much better. But you're right. I mean, it's as fast as OpenAI has been the fastest company, user base growth, all those great numbers. I think LLMs are also the fastest software technology to be democratized and commoditized.
You know who said it's going to happen 5 years ago when we just had glimpses of ChatGPT 3? It was like only the nerds knew about it. So in 2020 or 2021, one of my friends who's like a super geek, millionaire, tech founder, really smart dude, ahead of its time in everything, bro.
You're just gonna be like, his name's Peter Thiel. Maybe you've heard of him.
His name is not Peter Thiel. So if you meet him, you would never know he's a he has chickens and he drives an old beat up car, bro. He has like Bitcoin in the sense, like insane. He's like Microsoft for 20 years, like everything, like
just
super smart guy. So he says, hey, we're sitting poolside. Everybody's already asleep. Everybody's
picturing you with the shirt off, with the drink in your hand, poolside.
Poolside in the night. Everybody's asleep, and he said, "Look, I got to show you something super cool. This is going to revolutionize the world." I don't know what AI is. I don't know. And says, "Look, this thing is called ChatGPT." I said, "What the fuck is this?" So it wasn't like a common knowledge. Only the geeks knew about it. Mm-hmm. And he showed me this video clip of a guy joking around with this avatar that's basically AI. And I was like, what the fuck did I just watch? He said, bro, in 2-3 years, this thing is going to take over the world. And I thought, yeah, that's super gimmicky, but come on.
Yeah.
Look, at the end of the day, I think that when we started, like, I come from the Palantir community, obviously, so Tesla is kind of my second love. So in the Palantir community, when obviously we were obsessing about what Alex Karp and Cham were saying like 5 years ago, so they were saying, folks, don't be afraid to accept the fact that we're not a generative AI company, right? That's okay. We're not trying to be that. We're not generating AI. I know it's basically, we know that right now the hoopla is in generative AI, but the money is in the picks and shovels. The money is in the operating system. The money is in the layer that's going to manage all of this. So we're just going to be waiting at the finish line, and we're going to have sex with whoever wins. It's like no problem. And right now you're seeing this happen. The value is both on the hardware side. Where's the value? NVIDIA, hardware. But software side, the LLMs are nice. But Palantir, look at the numbers, bro. How much money is Palantir generating?
Let's pivot talking a little more about the markets. Not what does everybody else think. What does Tom think? Is there a AI bubble? Are we encroaching in a recession? You got Burry one day shorting NVIDIA and Palantir. Last night closing up shop, called himself a Cassandra, but he's only been right. He's only been a true Cassandra once in I don't know how long, 15 years. Like that's what the market's doing, what they're saying. What's Tom think? Tom Nash.
So,
I know Tom Lee, Tom Nash.
By the way, I specifically did not ask Tom Lee about Michael Burry.
Okay.
Because I didn't want to put him on that spot. I feel like I can talk about it, and I love the smoke, bro. But I don't do it to other people. So thank you for doing this to me. But I'm actually I'm happy to answer that. So here's the thing. I'm going to shock you. I don't think Michael Burry is an idiot, and I know
I don't either.
It's easy to make fun of him. No, so like the whole memes of he's predicted 17 out of the last 0 crashes, or like there's a lot of memes because he hasn't had like a home run since the subprime, right? Big win subprime, but nothing really since.
To me, are you a big hit person? Or are you a let's get a lot of singles person?
But look at what he's saying right now. Like I know he's a very colorful figure on social media. He chooses to be. He does it to himself by participating in this drama. I think he likes it. But here's the thing.
He does.
Of course he likes it. But here's the thing. The argument he's making is a logical argument, and you can't just ignore it. Now, I'm not going to talk about his accounting argument, which is I don't know enough. But basically, on that side, just to kind of recap that.
I was going to recap it for people, but I was just going to say, so essentially.
So I used to work for Deloitte, so we dealt a lot of depreciation. Normally, which is the weird part, you as a company would like to have as much depreciation as possible. Because when you have more depreciation, you're paying less taxes. So all my clients, for all my years working as a senior manager in Deloitte, were trying to max out depreciation as much as possible because it's free money. But what he's saying, look, in the stock market, when you have to answer to shareholders and you have to deliver numbers, for an accounting perspective, you'd like to have less depreciation because your bottom line is going to look better for the untrained investor as far as EPS and as far as margins and whatnot. So he's saying basically that the hyperscalers are buying up these GPUs so they can claim that they prolong the useful life of their shit. Now, depreciation has to be smaller, and they're overstating their profits by the magnitude of 20 to 25%, right? That's the argument. I'm not an accountant, by the way. Even for Deloitte, that's not what I did. I did business consulting. So I don't know. If it's true, it's fucked up. But here's the thing. I don't think this argument matters.
Okay, I agree.
Because I think what matters is the second argument that he's making, which is you've seen the meme with the multiplier, the socket multiplier extender plugged into itself.
Okay, yeah.
That's what he's saying. He's essentially saying that all this CapEx spending is basically companies buying up revenues and profits into themselves, right? And he's saying, look, none of this is real. They're just they're all paying each other, and they're all growing, and the market is growing because of that, right? My whole thing about it, and here's my opinion. Might be wrong, might be inaccurate, might be the ramblings of a madman, right? Uh, my opinion, okay? I think that this is the more important argument, because if he's right about the accounting stuff, I don't know. If he's right about this argument, it puts a whole new fucking reality in front of our eyes versus what we have right now, right? I think he's wrong, and here's my opinion why I think he's wrong. I think that he's is coloring the situation in the colors of the telecom crash of late 90s with the dot-com crash, where capex spending went through the roof, people took Cisco to the moon, and then basically everybody finished updating the infrastructure, capex cycle ended, and everything got deflated back to its normal size, and people freaked out and crashed the market. I think he's seeing that in those colors, and I think it's a huge mistake. I think it's a huge mistake because it's almost comical to compare high-end compute capex cycles to telecom cycles. Like if you're laying optic fiber, that thing can you don't need to update it for 20 years, whatever, right? If you talk about your home computer, where you do some video gaming, right, and you have like an RTX, which is kind of the difference between the horse and carriage and the Ferrari versus like data center GPUs, right? So that RTX probably has about 6 to 8 months of useful life until you got to replace it because the games don't run anymore. In the world of AI, to keep up with AI, the capex cycle is about 2 to 3 years, H100, H200, whatever comes after that. So the only way his argument makes sense is that if AI development stops here, and we don't need more data centers, we don't need more compute, we don't need more resources to train more AI, because AI has gotten to the pinnacle of its development. And I think that's comical to make that argument. I think we haven't even scratched the surface, which means we're going to need more data centers, we're going to need more capex, more energy. I don't know. That's a huge question that people haven't answered yet. There's something is going to have to power this shit, which is a huge question in itself. Something has to cool this shit. Again, really tough questions. I think the problems are in the infrastructure, not in the demand. AI is just scratching the surface. This capex cycle is not going to end like the telecom one because it's simply going to keep renewing itself. Now, even though I think he's wrong about his assessment, I don't think it's a stupid argument. I think it's a valid argument. Now, I don't know whether a crash happens, doesn't happen, right? When it happens, nobody knows, right? What I do know is that we are still in a bull cycle. That's 100% true. And because we're in the bull cycle, and on top of it, sentiment is shaky, I find it hard to believe that we're going to have a crash happen in the near future. Because usually if you think about it, go back in history, right? These crashes, they tend to happen when the sentiment is euphoric. Like if you open Fear and Greed right now, we're at what, 35? I don't know, like in the 30s, right? We're somewhere between fear and max fear, right?
Yeah.
So with the sentiment being so fearful and people, like when everybody is afraid of a bubble, it's not a bubble. It's kind of a paradox, right? For a bubble, people need to not believe it's a bubble. Because everybody's asking the question, it proves it's not. And sentiment isn't there yet. And
well, it showed that there's caution in the market. If there's caution in the market, exactly, that is not a bubble.
Yeah, it crashes when shoeshine boy examples, the grandmas are investing, everybody's saying, well, this will never end. Yeah. Like this is the new reality, the old paradigms don't matter. So I don't think that's that, right?
Yeah.
I do think that, and it's an important point to make here, and we kind of touched about it earlier. I think it's important to educate investors because you have a younger audience. I have a little bit of an older audience. So both are still acutely uneducated on the fact that when this correction happens, it's not necessarily going to be the V-shaped recovery that we've seen since the subprime crash, since the last decade, right? It's not necessarily going to be that. And I think a lot of people are not even mentally, emotionally, financially prepared for a U-shaped recovery or even, God forbid, a W-shaped recovery, which was the last decade. And I think because of that, I think there's still complacency in the way people do investing, because they I've been investing since 2020. I've been through 2022. I'm a hardened investor. No, you ain't seen nothing yet. Like,
Yeah.
it's important to understand that the market can still show you things you haven't seen in 15 years. And I think the biggest problem is that a lot of investors are not preparing for that option, as far as portfolio setup, as far as capital management, portfolio structuring, risk management, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Because of, it's very hard. And look, Nick, it's another paradox. I'll shut up after this one. The best time to prepare for a cataclysmic event that might or might not happen is when things are great. And the worst time is after shit have hit the fan, which is where most people start to do this.
Let's talk about your recent conversation real quick with Tom Lee, because I think that ties in nicely with this. And let's talk a little bit about options, because you said that you want to.
I have so much questions for you.
Yeah. So let's just real quick. So Tom Lee is calling on the high end 7,500 SPX and a year. Do you see that happening? Do you see us running up into the end of the year based on what you see? I mean, the market's been pretty weak the last 2 weeks. Kind of selling off. Is this the start of something? Or are we going to have a Santa Claus rally, as they say? Like, what's your current gauge of things? And I know you don't do shorter term things, but it's good conversation.
You correctly pointed out that I'm not a huge believer in human ability to predict short-term markets.
Unless your name's Tom Lee.
Well, Tom has been doing this.
He's ridiculous.
His batting average is fucking insane, bro.
And he's not always a bull either. Like, people sit there and think that he's only a bull, but it's like, he's been on the other side before.
He's been on the other side many times. I agree. So my thought process is, look, the resilience of the market can be tested through what happened over the past couple of weeks, right? So we were riding high, then Palantir earnings come out, then immediately Michael Burry 13F becomes a huge deal, huge bet against the market, lots of PR, right? And then everything gets overshadowed with the Michael Burry thing. Palantir drops 15%, NVDA drops 10%, S&P drops 3%, NASDAQ drops 5%. It's a huge event, right? The resilience of the market, for me, is, okay, let's look what happened since, right? So NVIDIA fully recovered. What are we, 2 weeks removed? We're back. Palantir fully recovered. We're back. Not back to the exact point, but pretty much back. NASDAQ full recovery, S&P full recovery. So, we're back. If the market was shit and if the foundations were rotten, this would have been a good fuse to start the fire. And to me, having seen the market go take a punch, wobble a little bit, lose its footing, but then come back and get back
stronger. Yeah.
So it just shows me that there's still a lot of oomph left in this market. Now, there's not a whole lot of time left till the end of the year. I mean, we still have 2 weeks until the end of November, another month, so it's 45 days. Unless something happens in those 45 days, and I'll tell you what can happen. What curveballs can happen. Unless we get a curveball, I think Tom Lee is right about, I don't know about 7,500, right about the bullish trend continuing. Now, there can be curveballs that can take the market out of its current trajectory, which is a good one. Number one, and I said it to Tom Lee, I said, hey, right now we are pricing in one more cut in December. That's priced in, 70% according to Fed CME Watch tool.
It dropped to 50 today.
I didn't see it. Well, even at 50, if they don't cut, that 50 is going to be priced in. Unless it's... So if it stays 50 and above and we have no cut, this is going to hit the market.
Yeah, I agree.
The other thing that can happen, obviously, we can have any sort of, pick one, geopolitical nightmares that may erupt. There's really a lot to pick from. And just choose one that goes out of control. All you need is one idiot to make some stupid decision, and then everything goes up in flame. Oil prices go up, and then it might trigger a bad reaction. So, barring geopolitical chaos, which is a hard thing to, it's a tall order given what the state of the world is right now. And assuming the Fed goes through with one more cut, I think he's right about the bullish trend continuing until the end of the year. But everything, of course, is fluid. You know how it is. Even he said it, like, everything can change in a day.
These are statements made point in time based on what we know at this moment. 5 minutes.
And of course, there's the unknown unknowns. You remember the Donald Rumsfeld famous speech about the unknown unknowns?
Yeah,
like,
I mean, we don't know.
We can't even imagine.
Yeah, you don't know what nefarious things are being done that are
Bro, if I told you in 2019 about COVID,
that we have no idea. Oh yeah, exactly.
That COVID would have seemed like science fiction to you. Like,
yeah. All right, so let's talk options.
Even if I told you Russia is going to invade Ukraine, this would be the equivalent of the US invading Canada.
You would have been like BS. Yeah, exactly.
As a Russian, I would have told you there's absolutely zero chance of that happening, bro.
When Russia had their troops lined up on the border and they're reporting, I'm like, oh, these are just war games. Like, they're just.
I said it. I said there's no way they're going to do anything about it. I said there's no way. Nothing's going to happen.
I didn't think so either. I'm like, oh, okay, well, I was wrong.
People keep pointing out, Tom, you were wrong about Russia invading Ukraine. Yes. That was.
You mean you don't get everything right? You're not right about every little thing? Oh, man.
The only place where I'm always right is at home with my wife. I'm always right, never wrong.
Because you let her decide?
Never been wrong there.
Yeah. All right. So options.
Yeah. So I want to ask you a question. Yeah, so this is I'm going to be the interviewer here for a second because I'm fascinated by that. It's very, for me at least, right? I haven't been trading for many years, right? I tried some trading many years ago, and I absolutely sucked. I not only sucked, I felt it contaminated the good habits I have in long-term investing. And it made me a much less stable long-term investor, right? Almost like the analogy I can give you is like, if I'm, working out, I'm eating right, but then I go out at night, smoke cigarettes and drink alcohol, but then I work out again the next day. It's like, I didn't feel it mesh well. I felt intervened with my. How do you separate that almost to the point where you're like a different person and it doesn't bleed into each other?
Yeah, so that's a good question. So I think options are just like anything else. It's like food. You got good food, you got bad food. It's, buying stocks. You can buy stocks and hold for a long term, or you can sit there and try to trade in and out of stocks thinking you know something, thinking, hey, the Fed's going to cut, this is what's going to happen. I ignore all of that. When I trade, and to me it's investing. To me, these terms are interchangeable. If you want to call it gambling, that's all gambling, in my opinion. If you want to call trading different than investing, I see it as the same thing. But the way I see it is all I care about is being as capital efficient as I can. When I put on a trade, for example, correct me if I'm wrong, as a long-term investor, you don't know when the price is going to get to, say Tesla. You don't know when Tesla is going to get to 500, right? You'd agree with that?
Correct.
Okay. And let's say that you're in an accumulation phase and you want to pick up another 100 shares of Tesla. And right now we're sitting here at $424 pre-market. If I told you right now, hey, you could buy 100 shares of Tesla at $400 and you're looking to buy 100 shares, you'd probably say, yeah, I'll take that, right? But
yeah,
you don't
with
know.
Options, you can either get that or get paid for doing nothing.
Exactly. So that's one thing, right? So let's be capital efficient. I don't know where the stock's going to be.
That option strategy I like. There was a guy in my community who was doing this for years. That's a kick-ass strategy. You either buy the shares you want long-term for cheap or you get paid for not doing that.
Exactly. But here's the problem. Here's the emotional thing. Right now, today, we're saying, yeah, I'll take, you pay me $5,000. And if it gets to 400, I get the shares and I get my $5,000, which really means that, maybe my average price is 390. Great. I'll take that all day. Here's the problem where people get emotional. All of a sudden we drop to 370 and they have to buy them at 400 with the cost base of 390. Now they're like, oh no, I'm going to close out of this because I don't want to buy this when I could buy at this, and they do stupid things. It's like, no. You chose to do something, do it. Because your other option was to buy right now at 424 and be down to 370. So don't start, like, people try to maximize the most that they could possibly make at any given moment. They feel bad when their portfolio is not the peak it's ever been, and people try to do too much to extract every last penny rather than just being disciplined. Like, hey, right now I have enough money to buy 100 shares. I could buy a 423, or I could sell these puts. If it gets down to 400 or even lower, I'll buy them. I was going to buy them anyways. I might as well get paid to do that in the meantime, reduce my cost basis, and just be level-headed about that. Not everybody can separate that. I get that, right? But
I'll give
that's how you have to
an
think
analogy.
about it.
I'll give an analogy.
Yeah.
It's like there's certain people, let's say person A, super strong personality, and they're trying to lose weight. So that person can go out, can be around, you can put him at 12 at midnight next to a pizza place where he hasn't eaten all day. He knows it's not in his plan. He's not going to be tempted. But like 90% of people, if you put them hungry outside of a pizza place when they're trying to lose weight, I mean, that's not going to end well. So for me, it's like, I feel like options, they open that window to where you have to be super disciplined. And like most people just aren't.
It's like anything else. That person who's really disciplined about not going to get that pizza, it's not like they just woke up and all of a sudden they're just that disciplined. They failed many times. They've gone and gotten a slice of pizza. But you're not going to get good at anything that you don't do. Like it's just a fact. Like I'm sorry, when you invest in general, you're going to lose money. It's going to happen. You're going to pick bad stocks. You're going to hold something for too long. You're going to make stupid decisions with options. The question is, are you iterating and learning on what you're doing? Are you sitting there being self-reflective, like, oh, where did I fuck up? Okay, well, here's why. I got greedy, or I got FOMO, or this thing happened. Here's why I say, like, I don't just buy and hold Tesla. Perfect example. Right now, we're $75 away from 500. If I told you, hey, you could sell 25% of your Tesla shares at $500, would you? I think a lot of people would say yes. 600, pick your number. I think a lot of people would say yes. All right, well, it makes sense to sell cover calls.
If it's a multi-year compounder, that's a stupid decision. Even at 700.
In a certain time frame, right? If I say, hey, it's going to, you're in 45 days from now.
I have a position that every multi-decade compounder, you never want to sell it. Never.
What's that?
There's never a good time to sell a multi-compounder. Like an Apple or a Palantir or a Tesla. There's never a good time to sell it. When I say sell, I don't mean like trim a little bit for risk or, for stuff like that.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Yeah,
so
I'm not saying you have to be completely out of something.
So you're talking about trimming a little bit.
Yeah, look, if we run up to $600 on Tesla in the next 45 days, and I told you, hey, you could sell some covered calls, and in 45 days, if we hit $600, you're out, and we had that big run, you're not going to tell me that you'd be like, yeah,
no, but that's
I'll
exactly
sell 600.
The thing that happened
That's going to pull back a little bit.
With Palantir, like if we would have had this conversation at 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90. And if we would have gotten out, it's a very hard concept for people to buy into. But like if the call is right, if you've picked a multi-decade compounder, which is not an easy thing to do, by the way, if you hit it on the choice, it's never a good time to sell it because it's just going to continue compounding.
But here's my point though. Palantir is at 184 right now. The other day it hit 210, I think. If I told you right now, hey, you could sell cash or a cover call at 220, and if it hits 220 in the next 30, 40 days, you have to sell 100 of your shares. But you're telling me that next 30, 40 days, it's going to move up that much. Do you really not think that you can sell that? And then if it pulls back just a little bit, even if you're like scared, like, oh, it's going to be all right, just buy them right back.
Look,
but you can buy them back at a lower cost.
This is the problem for me. It's like I've seen the market do irrational things in the long term. Sorry, the other way around. I've seen the market do irrational things in the short term that you wouldn't believe. I mean, so I've gotten to a point where I just accept that anything can happen in the market short term. And I'm never going to try and play that. But I'm not like, bro, there's more than one way to make so much money in the stock market. I'm not hating on people who do that.
Wait, so I think, but the part that we're not talking about, like we're talking about like selling your shares, right? Or buying the shares. Here's the reality. You have that cash or you have that stock sitting there. when you put on these positions, they're paying you decent money. The probability that those options get actually exercised are so low. Look, everybody has probably bought a call option. And I would say the majority of people have fallen on their face with those call options and thrown that money away. The other side of that is you being the casino, is you being the insurance company, right? A casino has the odds in their favor. When you sell premium, the odds, you can always do stupid things. You can sell at the money and the odds are not in your favor, but you're essentially going out a certain degree. And there's more to it. Like I try to teach people, I don't do courses. I teach, I guess that's a course. I don't sell courses. Like I don't like people going and doing things without me sitting there, like making sure they understand. It's not the most capital efficient thing to do, but I like to make sure people understand the concepts. But when volatility is really high, you can sell even further away from where the stock is, collect even more premium. And when volatility, look, there's one thing that's true. Prices in stocks don't always regress to the mean. They don't. In general, stocks in general go up and to the right. What will always happen, volatility will always regress back to the mean. Always. Look at any VIX chart. It always regresses back to the mean. And so that contraction that volatility does is really what you're playing with. When volatility gets really big, expectations are higher, means you can get way safer, way further out of money, make even more money, ironically enough, because volatility next will contract. Look at any implied volatility chart for any company going into earnings, you'll see volatility goes up and it crashes right after. You'll see it. Look at anything. Look at IB rank for any company. You'll see it over and over. And so what I'm saying is not to not buy and hold, but it's blending all of these different tools. You got to use the right tools at the right time for what you're doing.
We have such different approaches about this, and it's okay. That's part of investing, right? Everybody have their own philosophy. There's so much layers to this. Obviously, one thing. The one scenario where I would say I'm okay with options is what you described as far as company you want to own. I mean, you either get the stocks at that cheap price or you get paid. That's the only scenario where I would say that's okay. Everything else, I would never even think about, contemplate even doing. And here's why. Number one, it's not always mathematical. So if I'm trying to build healthy habits, like I'm thinking investing in decades, like 20 years, 25 years. So I'm trying to build healthy habits. So if I'm trying to teach myself that timing the market is a bad idea, and maybe you don't agree, that's okay. I have a lot of friends who don't agree with that. But I personally think that timing the market is a bad idea. So I'm going to not be engaging in things that erode that habit I'm trying to build. And when the flip side of that is when you say, look, it's improbable this is going to happen. And, sure, it's improbable it's going to happen. But I feel like even in my lifetime, I've seen the market do some crazy shit in the short term. And if there's one thing I accept is my inability as a human being to predict even somewhat to try and predict what the market is going to do in the next 6 months, 12 months. It's so erratic, bro. Like, for example, and I'll give you an example. Now, I've made a lot of money over the past few years. Palantir was my best pick by far. I have 40% of my portfolio in Palantir. But here's the thing, and I'm not ashamed to say this. In the beginning of 2023, I've made a video, said, look, I think it's going to be a shit year. I think we're going to continue with this. Like inflation looks like it's horrible, blah, blah, blah. And all these logical explanations why 2023 is going to be sideways years at best, right? And of course, I could not be more wrong. I could not be physically more wrong. I absolutely, shed the bed on that prediction, right? But guess what? I told my community and what I did is we said, look, my prediction does not fucking matter. What we're going to do is, regardless of what we think about where the market's going to be, we're going to just continue to do the same thing like we've done before, which is basically dollar cost average into quality and ignore the noise and ignore all this other stuff and basically continue buying good companies at a discount. And by doing that, what we have achieved is we protected ourselves from ourselves. So instead of trimming, getting higher percentage of cash, we just DCA'd the Palantir and Tesla and SP 500 and other companies, and we saved ourselves from myself, actually, to be honest. I don't want to drag anybody into my horrible prediction by just saying, hey, DCA into quality, ignore the noise, right? So my experience is like when you look at basketball players, right? Some basketball players, they like to play down low in the low post and, buddy it up and play hard and contact. Some, like Steph Curry, it's more finesse and shooting and run around. And there's so many ways to make money in the stock market. My particular way is like, this is what I do. This is what worked for me. This is what worked for my community. And this is what I absolutely love. I'm certainly not one of them vegan people who try to convince you that eating meat is horrible. Bro, eat meat, be vegan, trade or invest. None of this matters. None of this matters.
When it comes to selling options, you're not trying to time the market. Quite the opposite. You're telling the market that it has to beat you. And you're given a very confined window on when it has to do it. Look, Palantir, I can sell a $220 call on Palantir, receive that money. Palantir can go up and up and up. But the difference with options compared to just owning stock is that contract is decaying faster and faster closer we get to expiration, right? And if Palantir just stays still, if it goes up, it goes down, I can still make money on that. While I still own the shares, I can benefit on both ends. So that's why, to me, it's being more capital efficient.
Look at the difference.
Go ahead.
In my setup, I have zero emotional waste of energy. Let's call it this way, right? I don't check prices. I don't care what happens to the stock price. I have no date that I'm supposed to be concerned about. It's a really low maintenance system emotionally to deal with.
But you can still do that.
Just buy and hold.
Okay, let me give you another scenario.
Options, then dates matter. Dates matter, and you start looking. Oh well, if by this date this needs to happen, otherwise I don't make money. So it becomes this emotional drain. At least for me, that I don't process well.
So yeah, I don't. To me, it's not really emotional. I mean, it's different. Like after you've done it for a while, it's just day to day. But to me, you can still do.
Have you been making money with this?
Oh yeah, I share my P&L every month.
Yeah, fucking go crazy, bro. Yeah. Why not?
But what I was gonna say is, let me. All right. One other way of thinking about this. Would you rather, let's say you're not Tom Nash, right? Let's say you don't have YouTube, you don't have these other streams of income coming in, and let's say that, hey, you're retired, you got to live off your portfolio. Let's say you have $1 million. Would you rather sell far out of the money call options and live off that, or sell your shares and give that back to the market and live off that?
I don't think neither are a good option for that scenario.
Okay, so what would you do to have spending money?
Well, you have to. That's the whole retirement plan, portfolio structuring. I mean, you shouldn't. In my opinion, look, that's option is not your game, and certainly not long term. Like you shouldn't be buying, Palantir for the next 20 years. Obviously, some fixed income, some dividends, the stuff that the usual retirement planning. I think you at this age you have to be playing defense, especially if you no more income. That's it, bro. You got to be playing defense. You got to be creating fixed income, et cetera, et cetera. It's all the whole retirement planning. So I don't think options is a good tool for that. To be honest,
you think that, or I mean, not you think, but you anticipate yourself moving heavily into fixed income and dividend stocks as you get older? Again, all things being equal, assuming that you don't have any other streams of income, YouTube, say you give it up, say, hey, I just want to go hang out with my friend at night by the pool and I don't want to work anymore.
You're talking like when you're in your 70s?
Yeah. Like, that's your...
Of course. Yeah.
See, I don't think I could ever...
At some point, you have to protect your money, bro. You have to protect your money. At some point, when you're retired, you have to play defense. There's too much at stake.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like, you haven't ever been... like. You're too young to think about it. I'm closer than you to that fucking age, bro. And like when you get there, it becomes real, bro. Like there's no more room for mistakes. There's no
Yeah.
more room for gambles. Like you have to actually predict your shit because that's all you got.
That's
It's
fair.
a whole different enchilada, bro.
Yeah, but
Completely
I
different.
think
How old are you? You're in your 30s, right? Early 30s?
35.
So I'm 44. You're 30. Like we're young. We have decades of investing ahead of us.
Yeah, well, that's kind of my point, or not my point, but you might be 100% right. I might get, to your old age. But no,
Fuck you then.
I might get older and have a complete different perspective on this, right? I might be like, all right, we're in defense mode like you're talking about. But right now, it's hard for me to fathom that I won't still be interested in investing in revolutionary companies. And, it's too much. I don't know. It's too much of a passion of mine to invest
you can
into
still
these.
do that in that age, and I have people in my community who do that in their 70s, but the percentage of the portfolio that they dedicate to that specific endeavor is probably like a max 20%, like they're 80% in defense.
Yeah, I mean, I think you should absolutely, to your point, like have, for lack of a better word, your emergency fund, your money that, like, hey, no matter what, I'm gonna be
Just
fine.
do the cockroach portfolio when you're 70 and live off the dividends and the fixed income, bro. And that's it, bro.
Nice.
The cockroach portfolio is like the best defense you can think. It's brilliant.
Yeah.
And it's that simple. There's nothing to manage, bro. Buy some gold, buy some bonds, get some cash.
Oh, actually,
get some dividend stocks.
Let's jump to that real quick. Last topic is, I know the market's open now.
Yeah.
Gold, Bitcoin, U.S. debt. What's your take?
So my thing is, look, I'm not a huge fan of gold in general because I know it has a lot of PR. There's a lot of gold pumpers out there who've been doing a good work at pushing that. I don't think it's really an amazing inflationary protection asset, but hey, it's certainly safer than equities long term for that purpose. But I'm very, very borderline with gold. Not a huge fan. I think betting against Bitcoin in this current configuration is silly. Bitcoin has become such a huge part of the U.S. financial system. There's so many. There's too many people with influence that have a vested interest in Bitcoin. If you're betting against Bitcoin, you're an idiot. At this point, it's just silly. I know old school people hate it because of it. Some hate it because of its past and all the money laundering shit and happened, all the stuff like, But I'm very optimistic on Bitcoin. I don't have a Bitcoin position. And I will never have one. And the reason is because I don't invest in anything that doesn't have an income stream or a thing for me to analyze. Like when I invest in a business. So I can't.
No, I get it.
I get it. But I'm hugely bullish. Just not for me. As far as the U.S. debt, look, you have to understand one thing. As long as we are the world's currency, the world's reserve currency, the U.S. debt problem isn't really a problem. Because everybody's playing Monopoly and you have the printer that prints the Monopoly money and everybody buys that money from you. So it's the infinite money glitch that keeps on giving, right? The only thing that can make the US debt into an actual problem where you just can't print, your only constraint is obviously what happened with inflation. Like if you overprint, you're going to cause inflation. But I think we've learned that lesson, not to do that again. What happens when you print like 40% US dollar in a year, right? But where the problem can come from is like so can the US dollar be dethroned as the world's reserve currency? And when you look at a lot of agendas out there, a lot of haters, a lot of people who wish the United States burns into the ground. But the reality is, in order for you to be the world reserve currency, you have to have a lot of this currency in the world flowing everywhere. It has to be stable. You have to have very lax forex controls. You have to have a court system that's objective and fair and not biased, a political system that's somewhat stable, the ability to impose your military strength anywhere in the world within hours. And all of that has to come in a package that is still not existent anywhere else. If you look at the yuan or the Russian ruble or even the BRICS is the card of all the fighters that lost, and now they're all banding together to form one card of all the losers.
Yeah.
The only country that has a shot ever in the future to potentially challenge the US dollar and this is probably 50 years away, is India. India actually has a shot because of great demographics, because of its English-speaking young population. India actually has a shot, if they fix a lot of the problems, to challenge the U.S. dominance. All this BRICS talk, it's nonsense. The U.S. debt is people think about it as a household debt. There's a really good book by Stephanie Kelton called the deficit myth. Sorry, the deficit myth.
Oh, okay. I actually just saw something about her or with her recently. I haven't read it yet, but I'll read it.
It's a pretty good book because she explains, look, you're thinking about this as a household budget. It's not. We can print. It's different. You have to start thinking about it in different ways. So it's a lot of it is overblown by people who like to promote gold, by all sorts of anti-U.S. sentiment. I wouldn't bet against the U.S. dollar, the U.S. economy. I think it's been a pretty silly bet over the past 80 years, and it's going to continue to be so.
Okay. Yeah. I didn't really think that until I watched an interview recently with Larry Goldberg and Art Laffer. And the way Art talked about our economy, our stock market, like looking at it as a balance sheet rather than, to your point, like a household budget, it literally did something in my brain that is like, I can feel my brain rewiring. I can't fully articulate what I think is happening, what my opinions are, because my mind's opening up now to like looking at this from a whole different lens. It's like, it's kind of baffling. Like it's mind bending. It's the only way I could think about it. When you stop looking at it, to your point, as a household budget, but looking at it as we're printing, we can print money. We are the reserve currency. We have companies like NVDA here. Like these are assets for our country at the end of the day. Like our stock market is insane.
I think that a lot of people don't understand how bad of a shape China is in.
No.
China has a lot of problems. 1/3 of their GDP is based on the Ponzi scheme, pretty much, which is insane. People have stopped kind of covering this Chinese real estate issue, but it's real. At the end of the day, look, we like you said earlier, you have to think of the United States, even if you hate the US so much, and bro, where's the best technology? Where are the best employees? Yeah. Where's the most amount of money? Where the most consumption happens? The best markets, the best companies, the best technologies in the United States. It's always been like that. And yes, the imports into the United States are greater than the exports. This is what happens when you become rich. You buy more shit than you sell. Yeah. And it's like, this is the definition. It's never, you can't change it. You can't, obviously you're going to buy from places where the manufacturing is cheaper and you're going to have a deficit. Yeah. It's like, it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, Tom,
it doesn't mean we have to absolutely let it go and ignore it. Obviously, you have to manage it. And you have to be responsible.
Yeah, we got to be good stewardships. Yeah.
It's largely overblown. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Don't bet against the US dollar, bro. It's a silly bet. It's like betting against Elon Musk. It's stupid. You're not going to win.
Understood. All right, Tom. Well, I know we're way over time, so thank you.
It's been my pleasure. If it wasn't fun, I wouldn't have stayed. And I've learned a lot from you also about options, which was very interesting and really cool discussion.
We should carry on the conversation in the future. And I'd like to pick your brain about some other stuff too. So, but for now, appreciate it, man. And
it's been a pleasure of mine.
Soon.
Thank you, Nick.
Cheers.
Bye, dude.